G'day, this is Mr. Thompson, and in this video I'm going to show you how to take a hand-drawn sketch like this and convert it into vector art, into a vector drawing like this. So, whoops, let me just move the right one. A vector drawing like that. And in fact, I'll also show you how to create a 3D printable keyring using your sketch, using Fusion. All right, so let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is draw your sketch. Best to use a black felt tip pen on some clear white paper. You want to have clear contrast between the ink and the background. Once you've done that, you want to take a scan if you've got a scanner, or if you don't have a scanner, you might take a photo with a phone camera. Now, if you do take a photo with your camera, see if you can avoid having any shadows. You want a clear distinction between the black of your drawing and the white of your background. So hopefully you end up with something that looks a little bit like that once you've scanned it in. Let me just close that. Now I'm going to use a drawing package called Inkscape. So there's Inkscape. Let me just show you where I get it from. So if you go to, here we go, inkscape.org, and then click on this big button here on download, and it will take you to the correct version. So I downloaded the MSI there and ran it. You will need admin rights on your computer. So if you're on a school computer, you might have to go to the IT guys and ask them to help you with the installation. All right, so once you've done that, let's open up Inkscape. Here's one I prepared earlier, so I've opened it up. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get now this is a bitmap copy, so I took a photo of my sketch, and I'm just going to drag and drop my photo from that's a PNG file. It could be a bitmap or a PNG file, or any of the other common bitmap formats. I'm going to just drop it in there, and I'm just going to go, yeah, okay. I won't even read all of that, and then I can do away with that. All right, now that is still a bitmap. We want to convert that into a vector image. Now, Inkscape is fantastic at vector images. That's its thing. So if you're familiar with Adobe Illustrator, this is like a free version of Illustrator. It's open source, so you don't have to pay for it. And I use it all the time. I think it's a fantastic little app. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to come up to Path and Trace Bitmap. So we're going to take that bitmap. Now we're going to make sure that if it's not selected, make sure you select the bitmap that you've traced, that you've scanned, and then the Trace Bitmap dialog box over here, or panel, comes up. And there's a few different ways of doing this, and I noticed there's even an auto trace, but I'm just going to use the default brightness cutoff. That seems to work for me. I leave everything here at the default, and that works. The only thing you might really have to tweak a little bit is the threshold. So if I move the threshold up too much, can you see what happens to the preview there? Or if I move it back too much, I've got to find about the right threshold. So the default, I think the default was about 450 or something. But there we go. So thereabouts, that works for me. Again, if you've got no shadows, if you took a photo, if you've got no shadows and you've got good contrast between the white background and the black foreground, this will be actually really easy to pick the right threshold. All right, I'm just going to click apply like that. And now you can see I can now grab that and I can move it. And so that's a bitmap, which you can edit with something like Paint, but it's got a background, and you can see it's got different colors and things, or different shades in there. This is let me just push that aside. I'll take the bitmap away and I'll bring this in here. So that is actually a vector drawing now. So what do I mean by that? It's made of dots and lines. So it means it scales really well. It means it's got a transparent background. There's all sorts of stuff you can do. So straight away, I could take that. So I could do Control-C to copy, or right-click and copy, and I could go to PowerPoint, and I did that one earlier. Let me just delete it. And I can go Control-V to paste, And there it is. So you can see that it's got a transparent background and it scales without going without losing quality. I can scale it right up or right down. So it loses all of those disadvantages of a bitmap. All right. What else can we do? While we're in here, let me just show a few other things. We can do things like we can change the fill color. We can give it an outline. We could give it a shadow. Let's see, a shadow like that. So you can see there's all sorts of things you can do with a vector image that you can't do with a bitmap. Okay, if all you're interested in is creating that vector image to put it into PowerPoint or Word, then I guess that's the end of the video for you. But what I'm also going to do is I'm going to show you how to bring this into Fusion and create a little 3D printed key tag. So if I go back to Inkscape, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save it. So if I go File, Export, like that, and I want to save just that selection. So if I just make sure, actually, you know what? Before we even do that, I want to show you a few other things. See, this is a bit messy around here. I might want to clean that up a bit. So you don't have to do this, but you can click on the node tool there. And if I zoom in, hold down Control and use my wheel mouse. Oh, is that going to work? Yeah, there we go. Control on the wheel mouse. You can see I can now go and edit. I can think, you know what, I don't want all those points there, so I could just come in here and delete a whole bunch of those points like that. And then I could use these handles to just adjust, and see, that makes it nice and smooth. So there's all sorts of things I could do like that. In fact, I could use Control L if I want, and Control L will simplify the drawing by reducing the number of dots. And you can see that's created a simplified drawing, but it's a little bit, I don't like what it's done to my drawing. You might like that. I'm just going to Control Z to take it back to where we were. But you can go in there and you can play with those dots and you can do whatever you want with them. I'm going to Control Z that. You can go and edit the dots and the lines. All right, enough of that. Let's assume that that's how we want it. Now, if we're going to make a keyring, we probably want to make these lines, although they're not really lines, they're regions, because the lines are on the edges there. We probably want to make that a little bit thicker. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to use if I go to Path and Outset, like that, and you can see I could use Control right bracket to do that. So, but let's click on Outset and let's do it. I'm going to do Control right bracket. If I can find it, Control right bracket. So actually that's not working. Why is it not working? Because I haven't selected it. Let's try that again. So let's select it. Let's try it again. So if I go Path and Outset, see, it made it thicker. I might do that one more time. Path and Outset. Okay, that's looking pretty good now. I think that's something that I could 3D print. The other thing I like is it's joined everything up, because if I want to 3D print this, it's got to be one continuous line. Actually, that bit in the middle won't work, but that's okay. We can fix that later. We can fix that in Fusion. So having done that, I'm now going to export. So File and Export. And in fact, I've already got my export panel open over here. And I want to export not the whole page, not the whole document. I want to export the selection, just that vector image that I've selected. So I'm going to click on Selection here. I don't really care too much about those. Let's just leave those as default because I can resize it in Fusion. And where do I want to save it? So I can put it in, well, let's put it in, Libraries, Pictures, and I made a folder called Tutorial. There it is. So I'll put it there. And at the moment it's called path.svg. Let's call it, I don't know, biplane.svg, like that. And I'm going to save that. Okay, and actually I'm not sure if that's saved. I'll click the export button. There we go. It did already save, so I can replace it. That's all right. Okay, so that has saved an SVG file, which is a vector format file. It's and you can use that SVG for a whole bunch of things, but let me just show you how to use it in Fusion. So let's go into Fusion. Actually, that's one I did earlier. Let me just get rid of that. And let's create a new, so we've got a new part here. I'm going to create a sketch. I'm going to create a sketch on the horizontal plane there. And now all I'm going to do is I'm going to go, let's see if I can remember. I think it's under, I got to remember where it is. I think it might be under solid. Actually, it's probably going to be under sketch, isn't it? Yeah, it probably is. Okay, it is. Under the sketch menu, insert, and we're going to insert SVG, which is what we just created. So if I insert SVG, now I'm going to insert it from my computer down here. Okay, and I'm going to go and find, where did I put it on? I put it under pictures. Where is it? Pictures, and under tutorial, there we go. That's my SVG file there, so double click on that, and there it is. So I'm going to go OK. Okay, so there's my sketch. Now I'm going to extrude that to make it a three-dimensional object. So I'm going to hit E for extrude, and then I'm going to select the shape that I want to extrude, like that. And you know what? I don't actually want to include this little dot in the middle. I could, but can you see what's going to happen when I 3D print that? That's just going to be a bit of a blob of plastic that's not connected to everything else. So I'm not going to use that. I'm just going to use that shape there to extrude. And let's see, I need a distance. So I guess I'll make it, what'll I make it? Let's make it 3 millimeters thick. Or you know what? I might do 2.4. What if I do that? 2.4 millimeters. So now if we rotate our view cube here, you can see it's actually now a three-dimensional object. Now what about the size? How big is that? Well, what I can do is I can inspect it. So if I click on inspect, this measurement tool, and I select the back point there, I guess, and then the front point there, and that tells me that at the moment that's 38.955 millimeters, so very accurate. You know what, I think I'd like it a little bit bigger. So let's just scale that. So if I go modify and scale, and I've got to select the object that I want to scale, that's that one there, select a point. So, you know, with like the center of the scale. So it doesn't matter where I choose. I don't know. Any point will do. And now the scale factor. So, or I can drag this handle here. You can see how that's making it bigger or smaller by dragging that arrow. So let's try about that big. Okay, and let it do its thing. Okay, and now I'm going to do another inspect and look from there to there. Okay, yeah, that's probably better. So you can play around with that until you get it to the right size. Now I can still see my original sketch. I'm just going to turn that off because that looks a bit funny, doesn't it? Okay, so that's my key ring that I want. Now you know what? I'd like to have a little I guess a hole for my key ring on the back there. So I'm just going to create another sketch, and I'm going to create a sketch on, well, actually, let's put it on the same plane. Or you know what? Let's put it on the plane. Let's select a plane like that, and let's draw a circle. So if I draw a circle here, I'm thinking about 4 millimeters is a good inside diameter for a key ring. And then I'm going to do C for circle again, and I'll click on that center again, and this time I might go, well, let's try 8. That looks about right, doesn't it? Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab that circle there, and I'm going to drag it so that I've got plenty of overlap, because I'm going to join that circle to the rest of my shape there. Okay, so I'm going to hit E for extrude, and I'm going to click on that center bit there because I want to extrude that. Now let's just look at my view cube so I can see what's going on. So you can see I need to extrude that shape downwards like that. And you know what? I could say to do it 3 millimeters, or did I make that 3? I can't remember. Anyway, I'm going to make the extrude extent type to object, and I'm going to say extrude to the bottom of that plane like that. Oh, doesn't like that. Let's try again. I've got to zoom in so I can select the face, not the point or the edge. So now that I've selected the face, There we go. Can you see that's extruded and that's done a join? So it's joined that new solid to the existing solid. So, okay, like that. Come up and click home on my view cube, and there we go. That is ready to 3D print. So I can just go utilities, make, in fact, I can do make 3D print like that, and then select the object that I want to print. And you probably want to send it to, probably want to untick that. If you've got your slicer installed on this PC, you can leave that tick on and it'll automatically send it to your slicer. Open your slicer and put it in there. So that's what I do. I've got Bamboo Studio installed on my computer. If your slicer is on another computer, so for example, a different school computer, then you'll want to untick that box, click OK, and it will create an STL file, which you can then copy onto a USB stick or send it to the computer that's got your slicer, and then you can 3D print that. All right, I guess that's the end of the video. I hope that was helpful.